Thanks, Osmeter, and thank you very much to Gas NZ and the Bioenergy Association for hosting the event and also inviting me across the ditch to share Jemena's renewable gas story, focusing on the Malabar biomethane plant. Before I get into the presentation, we have a virtual tour. It runs for about 6 minutes and goes through the whole process from the anaerobic digestion, the biogas, right through the upgrading process and injection into the network. So 6-minute video, so sit back and it's hopefully sufficient time to anaerobically digest your lunch.
Upgrading facility and is the first in Australia to inject biomethane into a gas distribution network. It takes biogas, a byproduct of the anaerobic digestion of organic wastes at Sydney Water's Malabar Water Resource Recovery Facility and upgrades it into biomethane. Being chemically identical to natural gas, the biomethane is then injected into Jemena's gas distribution network and is compatible with existing industrial and household appliances. The facility targets a production rate of 95 terajoules of biomethane per year. That is equivalent to the gas usage of approximately 6,300 homes per year. Raw biogas from anaerobic digesters consists mostly of biogenic methane and biogenic carbon dioxide, but also contains hydrogen sulfide, volatile organic compounds, siloxanes and water. Due to certain impurities contained in the raw biogas, such biogas is not suitable to be injected directly into the gas networks. It needs to be treated to be suitable for use in the gas networks. Such treatment process, known as upgrading, removes the unwanted impurities from the biogas to produce biomethane that complies with the Australian natural gas specification as outlined in the Australian Standard AS 4564, General Purpose Natural Gas, in order to be suitably used for injection into the gas networks. The process begins at Sydney Water's neighbouring wastewater treatment plant, where an anaerobic digester produces biogas from organic waste material. The biogas is transported to the facility via a pipeline, where it is stored in an 1,100 cubic metre biodome. The biodome acts as a buffer storage for the biogas, maintaining steady process rates by decoupling the upgrading process from variability of biogas production rates. The first step in the upgrading process begins at the outlet of the biodome, where a condensate trap removes condensed moisture from the gas as it is withdrawn and disposed of via a drain into an underground Sydney Water sewerage line. The biogas is then passed through a gas cooler to reduce the temperature of the gas to approximately 5 degrees Celsius, where further moisture condenses and is returned to the Waste Resource Recovery Facility. A gas blower boosts the pressure of the biogas sufficiently to pass it through an activated carbon filtration system that removes the hydrogen sulfide, volatile organic compounds and siloxanes. As well as being necessary to meet the gas standard, this protects fragile membranes used in subsequent steps of the upgrading process. Following filtration, the gas is compressed to the much higher pressure of approximately 1.6 megapascals required for the remainder of the process before passing through another gas cooler for one final removal of condensate. The penultimate step involves passing the pressurised gas through 2 membrane modules, arranged in series to separate out biogenic carbon dioxide, leaving only biomethane. Gas that does not pass through the membranes is redirected to a 3rd membrane module, where additional methane is recovered. The waste gas from this step of the process is mainly comprised of biogenic carbon dioxide and is discharged to the atmosphere from a vent line at the outlet of the 3rd membrane module. Biogenic carbon emissions are those carbon emissions related to the natural carbon cycle and include carbon emissions from the combustion of biogas collected from the biological decomposition of waste. When released into the environment, for example from the upgrading process, or when biomethane is combusted, such emissions are not considered to increase the concentration of carbon in the atmosphere. This is because the carbon released was already in the organic matter. This contrasts to fossil fuels, which release carbon stored millions of years ago when used, effectively increasing the concentration of carbon in the atmosphere. In the final step of the upgrading process, a gas chromatograph analyses the composition of the output gas stream to check that it complies with the gas standard specifications. If the gas composition doesn't meet the specification, it is directed back to the blower inlet for reprocessing. Otherwise, the resulting product, biomethane, is piped to the Jemena gas network custody transfer station for injection into the natural gas networks. The Malabar biomethane injection plant is the first biogas upgrading facility in Australia, which enables the injection of renewable gas into an existing gas network, and the first certified renewable gas facility registered under the Green Power certification scheme. This is an excellent demonstration of the technical feasibility of converting waste byproduct into a natural gas equivalent, displacing fossil fuels with a renewable alternative source. For more information, visit jemena.com.au.
Well, the intention of that virtual tour was to minimise the number of attendees to site because there's a huge demand on resources. However, it hasn't worked. Every time we send it out to people, they're like, no, I want to come. So happy to have visitors come in, and because to the comment before, you can't substitute going to a site to touch, feel. Everyone wants to touch the biodome and get their photo in front of it. So everyone here, welcome to come. The virtual tour is just a teaser. Hopefully to see you in Sydney. Once again, thank you for the invitation. I'd like to start by acknowledging the country, the traditional owners of the land where we meet today, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present and emerging. And just as a side note, I find it really beautiful that the Maori language is woven through the New Zealand culture, and I really think Australia has a lot to learn on our reconciliation journey. A company overview. So Jemena and Zimfra. I think the best way about thinking these two companies is as siblings. There's high collaboration between two groups, a little bit of healthy tension and rivalry. And as I was sitting down before, I thought it's very much like Australia and New Zealand, the two siblings with the same parent. And we report into State Grid and Singapore Power. Jemena is the asset owner of the business with energy infrastructure assets predominantly along the eastern seaboard, electricity distribution, gas distribution and also gas transmission, also facilities in the Northern Territory. Zimfra are the critical energy partner. They are the service delivery part of the business, working with major projects and operations and maintenance and very much the field service providers. Their footprint is nationwide and they not only provide field services for Jemena but for many other third-party companies as well. 3 stages to the presentation this afternoon. First, just a quick touch on renewable gas, but we are all very familiar with biogas, biomethane, how it all fits together. And then about the project. What was the driver for the project? What was the opportunity? A quick overview of the process and share some learnings, which there are many learnings via the Arena website, but I'm happy to share more over a beer this afternoon. The final part of the presentation is about the potential and how can we unlock this industry? What have we seen in Australia and potentially what is applicable to New Zealand? So it's about renewable gas. Jemena has got interests in both hydrogen and biomethane. And we've all seen this slide or something similar previously. So biomethane leverages a natural carbon cycle, meaning the carbon dioxide emitted on carbon matches that absorbed in growing the feedstock, so no new carbon is brought into the global system. This is in contrast to the combustion of fossil fuels that, when combusted, liberate the carbon dioxide that is currently in underground reservoirs and contributes to an increase in atmospheric carbon. So when I chat to my colleagues over a barbecue, I kind of phrase it as like, well, it's simply a bucket of gas that you're using. This bucket of gas was already in the atmosphere as opposed to a bucket of gas that's underground. You can keep that underground and use this one in the atmosphere. So project overview. As you can see from the picture there, Malabar is a treacherous, dangerous and terrible place to go visit for site tours. It's based in the southeastern suburbs of Sydney, just on Malabar Beach, and it's co-located with the Sydney Water Malabar Wastewater Treatment Facility. This is the largest wastewater treatment facility in Sydney, servicing about 1.9 million users and treating about 500 million litres a day. The project itself was 9 months in construction from turning soil to final commissioning, cost capex of 18.2 million Australian dollars, and was partially subsidised by ARENA, the Australian Renewable Energy Agency, with a $5 million grant. The opportunity presented itself and it was obvious. So I think we all in the room understand that there was waste gas coming out of this city water facility. The numbers are on the screen. The city water facility was producing about 400 TJs per annum from their ADs, of which they were using about 2/3 of it for on-site cogen. Therefore, that's 100 TJs going up the spout and just being wasted to atmosphere. So it just lends itself to the opportunity of how can we capture that, upgrade it, and inject it into the network. And given the location of the facility, the gas distribution grid is right at the doorstep. In terms of capacity, Malabar's targeting 95 TJs per annum. That's about 6,300 homes, but it does have the capacity to ramp up to 200 TJs. And the driver for that is to ensure waste gas, as much waste gas can be captured as possible. So if City Water are having upstream operational challenges, we want to capture as much gas as possible. On a macro level, the process flows in that top left view, sorry. It's showing the prioritisation of gas from Sydney Water. So the anaerobic digestion process, producing biogas, is preferentially used on site for cogens. And then the balance of the gas then heads towards the waste gas burners. And the Malabar facility is literally just bolted onto the end of the facility as the priority waste gas burner. And so it's upgraded through Malabar. You can see there the biogenic CO2 is currently vented, and the biomethane is injected via a new custody transfer point into the Jemena gas network. Down the bottom is the SCADA screen. And I think the first thing to note is that this facility is completely unresourced and is controlled from the Melbourne control room. Some other information that wasn't quite captured in the video is the biogas is 60% methane and 40% CO2, which is pretty standard. It comes through a flow meter, a gas chromatograph, and that's the cash register. There's a commercial agreement between Jemena and Sydney Water where we're buying the biogas at $1 per gigajoule rate. The dome, as mentioned, it's there to decouple the upstream variable process and try and ensure a steady state downstream process. There's about 4 hours of capacity in that dome if the upstream process is interrupted. And then it goes through the various stages of removing moisture, VOC, siloxanes, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon dioxide. And then at the back end, we also have a quality control valve. If there's anything off spec, it gets recycled around for another ride. And then there's a cash register of a gas chromatograph and a flow meter to account the energy content for on-selling to shippers. Some design considerations for the project. Heat recovery and desulfurization and pressure control are just some opportunities for future designs. As I mentioned, Malabar is literally bolted onto the end of the Sydney Water processes. You can see the flange right at the waste gas burners, and there's a brand new green biodome and facility. And that's kind of replicated in the top schematic there. So the anaerobic digesters are producing high H2S biogas, goes through the cogens, on flows to the biodome, through our granulated activated carbon, and then compressed and into the network. The opportunities here are around heat recovery. One opportunity is to better integrate the system. Is there opportunity here to harness the heat that the compressor is just at the moment exhausting into atmosphere? Obviously, heat's used in the anaerobic digestion process. How can we better do that? Desulfurization. Again, it's just bolted onto the back end. So the high H2S concentrated biogas is flowing through the Sydney Water system. They're using high H2S biogas for the cogen, and we are receiving 1,800 ppm biogas at our facility. Is there an opportunity there to have a larger bulk H2S removal further upstream in the process and adding value to both Sydney Water and Jemena in this case? Removing H2S upstream will improve the longevity, the life, the maintenance of Sydney Water's cogen, so there is value to be extracted there from both parties. And pressure control. The biodome has a bit of a dual purpose as well. As I mentioned, it wants to control steady state downstream, so it does provide some pressure control. The whole system is very, very, very low pressure, like 2.5 kPa. So very sensitive as you're trying to direct gas from anaerobic digester to the cogens, to Malabar, to the waste gas burners. Is there something better that can be done there by leveraging the anaerobic digesters, floating roofs, some other mechanism to control the pressure throughout the whole system? And what's not on there is also electricity. How can that be optimized between all the facilities? So I think one of the learnings here is, as people are embarking on designing these facilities, what is the scope? What is the system that we're looking at? Are we just looking at anaerobic digestion, build a facility with the future of bolting on a biomethane upgrader? Or are we looking at the broader system and can they be designed together or with at least a bit of forethought to leverage some of these integration opportunities? The other significant learning has been around H2S management and how selecting the correct technology is critical. Malabar uses a granulated activated carbon to remove H2S, VOCs and siloxanes. This has been challenging in terms of operations. It's had a high maintenance and ongoing cost, which I'll break down shortly. So when thinking about the design of desulfurization and how to remove H2S, really you have to understand the load on the system, both the volume flow rate and the concentration. As I mentioned, Malabar is about 1800 ppm and it's about 1100 cubic metres, so it sort of puts us right in the bang of that yellow zone there, lending itself to chemical treatment. However, decisions were made during the project phase that it's a trade-off between CapEx and ongoing OpEx. And granulated activated carbon is cheaper than putting in a chemical, biological, amine type system. And so the business decision was made, let's go with option A and absorb the ongoing OpEx and maintenance costs. However, what we have seen is those OpEx and maintenance costs have been challenging. And we've also recognised that the infrastructure around Sydney is not suited for managing activated carbon in terms of vacuum trucks, suppliers, disposal. So we're continually working through those challenges. The GAC, if you are using GAC, one thing to the other dot point up there about when deciding what technology to use is the variability as well. The feedstock, these bugs in the anaerobic digestion, they are not a constant feed. And so as well as flow rate, concentration, need to understand the variability of your process flow and design H2S removal for that variability. If heading down the granulated activated carbon route, have a think about your vessel designs. The vessels currently at Malabar, you might have seen on the video, have scaffolding all around the vessels. That's due to allowing safe access and egress to safely vacuum out the carbon and refill it. So things like a platform is going to be installed retrospectively, but are there other designs out there that can have removable vessels or easily piped in, flanged up connections to assist with the granulated activated carbon management? The other thing about H2S is it's a new hazard for Jemena's operations. H2S is not a new hazard within the oil and gas industry, but for Jemena, which is a gas transmission business predominantly, moving clean gas around, it was new. And so as part of the project development and certainly commissioning and operation, a working group was set up to ensure that H2S was adequately managed, a hazard that was respected. We did some benchmarking. We had independent third party do a cold eyes review on our design and our processes, and our workforce were upskilled in managing H2S. And so some commentary and discussions before about is the skills out there in the industry? Well, the answer is yes, it is oil and gas, but we need to complement it with the nuances and the bespoke nature of some of these operations. As I mentioned, there are many other learnings from the project, but I think these are the two largest ones. One is design integration. How can we leverage those opportunities? And two is H2S management. I did put it in here. Many other learnings to share over a cold garage project hazy IPA, which I've been reliably told is a delicious Wellington-based beer. So how do we unlock this? What are the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and how do they come together? As we're all aware, the industry is very mature overseas, and Australia and New Zealand are coming up that learning curve, that maturity curve. The biomethane industry has taken off in Europe and the US. Europe has over 1,200 biomethane plants, of which 90% are connected to the grid. Denmark aims to achieve 100% biomethane injection by 2030, and France has increased capacity by 30% over the last 3 years. One of the contributors to that is government financial support. I mentioned that ARENA contributed $5 million to the Malabar project. In Europe, in contrast, 27 billion euros have been earmarked for investment in biomethane, with 950 biomethane plants expected to enter operation in the next 5 years. And 2023 was the third year of record growth across the US biogas industry, with 100 new projects coming online, representing $1.8 billion in capital investments. ARENA's contributed $5 million. However, only 9% of ARENA funding over the last 10 years has been issued for bioenergy projects, with 60% of this funding going to solar projects. So there's an opportunity here for governments to refocus some of the funding to the biomethane industry. In fact, just recently, ARENA announced $432 million for a 50 megawatt analyzer with Orica. And that's, imagine if I had $432 million that I could just give out to you right now, what you could do in the biomethane industry. So there is this real political marriage between the government and hydrogen at the moment, and we need to help decouple that. And as I'll talk about later about other site tours, Malabar is really trying to do that by getting as many government people through the facility to touch and feel and understand that biomethane is part of the energy mix. Sticking on the government jigsaw puzzle, so green power, so New South Wales government is putting the policy framework in place, but green power is the representative body issuing the green certificates. The real value of biomethane is not just in its energy content, but in the certificate that you can staple to it and use it for your Scope 1 carbon accounting. And Green Power have been issuing those, and just recently legislation's changed in Australia that those certificates are now recognised, which just immediately adds more value to the biomethane molecule. Top left is suppliers. So not only feedstock suppliers like Sydney Water, but plenty of other project proponents out there that are looking to build facilities. Valorify, for example, looking to build a 4 PJ facility in the Riverina area within New South Wales using agricultural feedstock and injecting directly into the grid. And the industry as well. We need to grow this ecosystem within access and range of suppliers, skilled workforce, but also events like this, Bioenergy Australia, continuing the conversation going. But the piece I really want to touch on is on the consumers. So we've got the government doing the policy, we've got government stumping up some cash, we've got everyone in this room here that's ready to go, but it's about getting the pull effect going as well, and also the multiplier effect. And this is the real value of Malabar. It's getting industrial customers through there and raising the awareness of the biomethane exists. It's getting an ad campaign out there as well. So it's called Part of the Big Picture that's been running on TVs around Australia and billboards and whatnot. Just getting that message out there that, hey, there is an alternative to hydrogen, and you're welcome to come and have a look at it and learn more about it. And MasterChef as well. So 2 years ago, in collaboration with some other gas companies, supplied biomethane to the MasterChef series, which just, again, raised the awareness of it. So the message here is there's a supply side of the equation, but the demand side as well is what Jemena are really focusing on to get everyone talking about it and raise the awareness and utilise that multiplier effect so everyone can influence governments and others to grow the industry. Spoke about visitors. Again, a warm invitation for anyone here to come across, and I know a few have, Lizzie and Bruce. But we often joke that we should put a Ferris wheel there or start charging tickets or something like that, because we've had over 100 groups through and over 1,000 people through, and the variety is huge. The breadth of visitors is amazing. We've had all levels of government, from local councillors through state to federal, also international governments. We've had delegations from China, Indonesia, and Japan. But then everyone else in between. We've had suppliers, we've had contractors, we've had large industrial users, schools, universities. So it really is a showpiece icon, which is being used to demonstrate the technical and commercial feasibility of injecting biomethane into the network, and is contributing to the energy mix. But of course, you can't leave site unless you have that photo taken. It's all over LinkedIn. And we all know this. This is the brilliant elegance of this industry is the circularity of it and the economy. And Malabar, although the CO2, the biogenic CO2 is currently being vented to atmosphere, we are in discussions with various players to understand how can we better utilise that. And we spoke about methanation earlier, I believe. There's an opportunity with some stakeholders to get a similar shipping container skid, which can take the carbon dioxide and mix it with the hydrogen and methanise and inject that into the grid as well. So some really exciting opportunities, but I think the message is this is just the first step. It's the enabler, and it's a demonstration facility to get the message out there. So in closing, biomethane is here. It is available. It works. It's low carbon. It's flexible. It's got a flexible supply source, and it's a direct substitute for fossil fuel natural gas. It unlocks value in so many parts of our business, and it creates a circular economy. However, it still requires a lot of investment and a lot of effort to raise awareness, increasing the funding and having the market value of biomethane recognised through policy changes. And that's it for me.
Michael?
All right.
Thank you. We've got time probably for one question. There's quite a few, but we'll send them to you later. So probably the main one, Australia can have negative electricity prices due to high levels of solar generation. Does Sydney Water change how it uses biogas to respond to those prices, to the price signals? Or do you kind of run steady load out of your CHPs?
So I don't know what Sydney Water will do exactly, but our facility is pretty, it's not steady, but the biomethane production is directly proportional to electricity use, so it tracks each other very well. All of Sydney's cogens is consumed on site, so they do have the facility to feed back into the grid, but they don't tend to do that. So the negative price is probably it's not an issue. Again, if there's integration between an upgraded facility and the cogen facility, that again provides another additional outlet for those electrons, so kind of decoupling yourself from the market.
Thank you so much. And put your hands together for Michael, please.